Hey everybody, it is time to take a look at the sequel to the game that I reviewed last week, one of my all-time favorite games ever made, which is Skyforce Reloaded. Yeah, I love these games. In terms of shooters, I find them to be among the very best, if not the very best. Interestingly, after I posted last week's video, I got a comment from someone that I appreciated because they had a very honest critique of the game, which is that they were like, I got stuck with the little teeny tiny pew pew cannon for too long and the grind was too much and I hated that. And that is a fair criticism, because the replayability of these games is the grinding out of currency in order to spend it on upgrades for your ship. And in the case of this game, for your ships, plural. Yeah, so that is true. That is absolutely a valid criticism. I see that is something where if you don't like grinding at all, if you don't like replaying the same level to try and do slightly better and then also improve your ship at the same time, if you don't like that, then fair game. You're not going to love Skyforce. But I do love these games so much. So in Skyforce Reloaded, you are essentially doing the same thing that you were doing before. It looks very similar and indeed plays very similar. The controls are almost exactly the same. They are still very tight. They are still very good. Most of the power-ups are the same. Most everything is really and truly kind of the same, which is fine. It's good. Like, I am okay with that. Did they add any bells and whistles? Did they put anything new under the hood? Answer to that is yes. And if you are already a fan of the previous game, the things they added come as a welcome addition, because you do get multiple ship types, which are come as unlockables. So you have to collect that in-game currency to unlock new ships. And as you unlock these new ships, you get to upgrade each of these ships individually, and each of these ships has a separate upgrade path. And so the replayability there is quite a bit, honestly. But I call it replayability. Some would call it a grind, and quite frankly, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I love a good grind. I love having control over my gameplay experience to adjust the difficulty or hardness of the thing through the grind. Really, that's what I appreciate about the grind. And I know that, there are a lot of games out there that just simply have a difficulty setting. But you can really dial in on a grindy game. You can make it suit your particular gameplay. You can make it suit your particular desires and goals within the game. It's something that makes it very personal in the way that you approach the game, and that's what I love about it. If you don't enjoy that, then absolutely feel free to not get this one. Because, not everything is for everyone. There are games that I love that other people don't like that much. There are games that other people love that I don't. I don't like pretty much the entire survival horror genre. And there are multiple members of my extended family who, that's what they live for. So, yeah. It's not about being necessarily right or wrong. It's about, is this a good version of a type of game that appeals to certain people? And if you are one of the people that this game appeals to, then it's going to appeal quite strongly. Because if you like, perfecting your own technique on a game, on a shooty pew pew, airplane type shooter, like, this is one of the best. It really is. It's not too bullet hellish until you get up to the extremely hardcore modes, and then you've really got to do some dodging. But by then, you will have sort of memorized the patterns of where the enemies are and in what order they come, and so you can really optimize a run based on your pre-existing knowledge of the enemy and what they're going to bring. And so, and then it's a matter of getting every single achievement for the level that you're playing. You're trying to get through the entire level, collecting every single star. You're trying to get through the level without taking a single hit, making sure you pick up every single human, crashed pilot, and you want to kill 100% of the enemy without missing a single one. And the level design in Reloaded is a little more devious, because on every single level they will have a high-speed vehicle that zips along in the background that is shootable. You would almost miss it if you weren't looking for it. And, could be a dune buggy or a speedboat or something like that sort of zips through the screen while you do have other enemies to shoot. And so you really have to divide your interest, and you're only going to get one chance at this guy, and he's going to be there and gone. And so, you really do have to figure out where all these parts in the levels are and optimize a run. The weapons upgrades in this game are excellent. They're a little more interesting than the ones in the previous game. And not only that, but the wrinkles added by the card system, the technician system, and the different ship types adds a whole bunch. Now, I don't remember. I could be wrong. It is possible that there were cards in Skyforce Anniversary. I don't remember. Cards give you a permanent upgrade to your ship. You find them randomly inserted into explodable crates. You pick it up, you carry it to the end of the level, so you can't die. If you die, then there goes that card. It is not collected until you carry it with you to the end of the level, which can be a real problem when, sometimes my objectives have changed mid-level to where, I might be like, okay, this run, I'm going to, save all the humans. And then once I get a card, I'm like, I don't want to put myself into the path of harm that comes from saving all the humans, so I'm going to only selectively engage the enemy and just try and make it to the end of the level with this card intact. And so, yeah, it does add a new wrinkle. But yeah, you get these unlockables. The cards can add things like a permanent plus 10 to your shields, or a permanent, plus 10 fire rate, or whatever. And then the technicians, each of the technicians, these are the sort of mechanics who work on your plane, will add a different thing. So if you're trying to go for the no damage, if you're trying to go for the no damage achievement, there is a technician who will erase your first piece of damage, but only that first piece. And she'll cry while she's doing it. It's kind of unnerving. She cares about your ship a little much. So yeah, each of these technicians is a character and has character and adds a little something to the game. And so you go through, you select your technician, The cards are already enabled. You select your ship. There is a ship that has way heavier shields, moves slower. There's your standard ship. There's your ship that shoots a little harder. There's a ship that moves a little faster. There are multiple unlockable ships, and then once you get these, you have to upgrade them, and those upgrades don't necessarily apply to all the ships. So yeah, it's really interesting in how you optimize yourself as you go along through the game, and it just adds a ton of replayability. Now, as with the first game, there is couch co-op in this game, which I have only done once that I can recall. It's one of those things where if you are trying to make it through a really hard level on insane mode, because you want to get every single one of those achievements. Like, I'm a little obsessive about those achievements. My ship got a little too maxed out because I was working my way on insane mode in level 5 and trying to kill every enemy. And if you understand what happens in level 5, I'm not going to spoil it. For those of you who don't know, get the game, you'll find out. Or Google it, I guess, if you want to spoil it for yourself. But yeah, level 5 of both this game and the previous one, there's something that happens that makes it much harder, but it is possible to sidestep that effect, but you have to be sidestepping it through the entire level, basically dodging a bullet that is coming after you the entire time. A real heat seeker. So the dodging strategy mixed with you trying to shoot and kill every enemy, especially on insane mode when the enemies are the hardest to kill and they shoot the most projectiles back at you, it just becomes insanely hard. And so I haven't actually fully beat the insane version of that level, which, I chose for y'all to go on to level 6. I would not let myself go to level 6 before, because I'm like, no, I have to beat every level on all three levels of difficulty every single time. Otherwise, I'm not moving on. And I did that with levels 1 through 4, which is kind of insane, but I'm a little obsessive about this game. And then I get to level 5, and I was able to do the normal and hard modes, but insane mode, I haven't been able to get all those achievements, and it bothers me. I think I'm going to have to forge ahead and unlock more powers for my ships and whatnot, and then come back to it later. That does bother me, but I think that's how it's going to have to be. So yes, for me, if you are someone like me who enjoys like optimizing runs, and I don't love optimizing runs in every game. It's just something about this game. I love optimizing runs in this game. There are times when I've been absolutely obsessive about it, just spending hours and hours and hours finding the perfect flight pattern through the level. And, I do have these games on more than one system. I've spent, I think it said 16 hours on this game. That's just in Steam, because I do have it elsewhere as well. I have both of these games on the Switch, for example, and on the Wii U. And I don't remember if I don't think Reloaded is on the Vita, but Anniversary is. That for dang sure. Anyway, so yeah, I've spent a lot of time playing these games on multiple systems. I'm just about as far along in my Switch playthrough as I am in this playthrough, which means I've probably put the same number of hours into it. So, quite a bit for a shooter with just 9 levels, right? Yeah. Again, if you enjoy the grind, if you enjoy optimizing your runs, if you enjoy, like, finding the best path through a level and really figuring out the best way for you to play a level, well, there you go. Skyforce Reloaded. Here it is. This is what you've been waiting for. This is absolutely it. So, yeah, obviously, I love this game. I absolutely love this game. It's one of my favorites, and I will fully admit that I might be completely irrational when it comes to how I rate this game, because, you know, it's one of those things. You know, there are two things that blind us when it comes to a review, and that is, number one, nostalgia. Always. You're always going to overrate things that you are nostalgic for, even if they're terrible. You don't think so? Think about the fact that, like, my entire wife's family thinks that E.T. the video game on the Atari 2600, which is one of the only cartridges they had, was actually good because they learned how to play it. That's what people who can play that game will tell you. Oh, it's not as bad if you actually know how to play it. Well, it's counterintuitive. It doesn't make a lot of sense. You really do have to read the manual because visually it does not give you the kind of feedback you need to play the game adequately. But they are 100% nostalgic for that game. And so when I told them about the landfill story, because this was back when you could still buy landfill copies. I don't know if you still can. You might. They might be, you know, second or third hand landfill copies at this point, so you might have to pay a premium on them. Somebody might be scalping some landfill copies out there. But, yeah, you can still go out and get the game, and you can still, like, figure it out and play it if you want to. My wife absolutely, like, I have watched her play that game and enjoy it. It's weird. You know, as a lifelong Atari guy, I'll tell you up front, it's weird. It is as uncanny as her ability level in Dr. Mario. She's one of the best Dr. Mario players I've ever seen, for real. Like, no lie. She does not mess around Dr. Mario wise. Anyway, so yeah. I'm just saying, the nostalgia factor always ruins things in terms of your ability to be perfectly objective on a video game, which is hard to do to begin with, but, like, nostalgia destroys it. And then number two, if there is a game that just perfectly suits your particular preferences as a gamer, like if it just hits the check boxes exactly right for you in your specific, you're very, like, you know, it is the exact right temperature bathwater of video game, you know, like when the bathwater is the exact right temperature and you're like, oh man, this is for me. Yeah, it's like that, but with a video game, and that will blind you every time as well, because, like, other people, I did read that critique from the visitor to my channel, or it might be someone who subscribes. I don't remember. I don't remember who said it, quite frankly. But whoever that was, just know that, like, I read your critique, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly right. I fully admit that. That is true. And yet, because this game scratches a particular itch for me, it's hard for me to see it in any other way. Let me put a final score on it. You won't be surprised, but also take it with a grain of salt. Alright, so let's talk final score. Final score for Skyforce Reloaded, I'm giving it an unsurprising 10 out of 10, and I mean this one. I really, really do. I really do think this is one of the best shooters ever made. That's my opinion. I will stand by it. If you don't like it, I 100% understand. Totally understandable. But for me, this is shooter perfection. So, yeah, if you're like me, you'll enjoy it. Are you like me? I don't know. Hard to tell. How much do you like grinding? That's, yeah, question number one in that process. Anyway, people, thank you for being here. Oh, and thank you for taking part in the giveaway that we did. Got a lot of responses, got to give a lot of games away. Hopefully everybody's happy. When I'm recording this, the thing has not posted yet. It is done. It's just sitting in publishing limbo, waiting to be posted at a reasonable hour. So yeah, this is going to get posted tomorrow, and then games are going to get emailed out, and hopefully everybody's happy. Hopefully everything works well. We'll see. Anyway, people, thanks for being here for this one. I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.